November 23, 1943, Aero 6, 45 hours. Private First Class. Daniel Carter crouched in a foxhole on Tarawa Atoll, watching a Marine corporal crawl forward to scout Japanese positions. 24 years old, 5 days in combat, zero solutions to the problem killing American Marines by the dozens. The Japanese had 850 snipers positioned across Baitio Island. Expert marksmen, most trained for 2 years. They'd waited in palm trees, concrete bunkers, and hidden spider holes for 4 days while American forces landed. Now they were picking off Marines one at a time with surgical precision. Morning count was brutal. 52 Marines killed by sniper fire in the first 72 hours. Not artillery, not banzai charges. Single rifle shots from positions nobody could locate. Snipers fired once, maybe twice, then went silent. By the time Marines returned fire, the sniper had moved. American officers tried everything: artillery barrages on suspected positions, flamethrower teams burning entire palm groves, concentrated machine gun fire into tree lines. Nothing worked. The snipers adapted, fired from different positions each time. Kill a Marine, disappear, wait, kill another. The mathematics were brutal. Each Japanese sniper averaged 6 American casualties before being eliminated. The 2nd Marine Division was bleeding experienced riflemen faster than replacements could land. Carter grew up on a wheat farm outside Dodge City, Kansas. His family worked 680 acres. Farm survival depended on protecting crops from crows during harvest. Crows descended by the hundreds each August, stripping entire rows before anyone could react. Carter's father lost 41% of his crop to crows in 1936, $380 in revenue, 3 months of income gone. When Carter turned 14, his father handed him a Winchester .22 rifle and 15 boxes of ammunition. "The wheat's your responsibility now. Lose it to crows and we don't plant next year." Carter's father taught him something the Marine Corps Scout Sniper Manual never mentioned: don't shoot at crows. Make crows waste energy attacking nothing. The concept was simple. Crows attacked when they saw movement in fields. So create false movement. Make them commit to targets that weren't real. Once committed, they'd land in predictable locations. That's when you shot them. Carter's first decoy, shirt stuffed with hay mounted on a wooden cross. He'd set it up at dawn, pull a string from 50 yards to make it move. Crows would dive at it, miss, circle confused, land in the same 3 trees to regroup. Carter would be waiting with his .22. He killed 53 crows the first week. By August's end, he'd eliminated 310 birds. Wheat harvest that year, 96% successful. His father said it was their best yield ever. Carter understood the psychology. Crows committed to targets based on movement and shape. Once committed, they followed predictable patterns. Create the right false target, and you controlled exactly where they went. Now he was watching. Marines get shot by Japanese snipers doing exactly what those crows had done: waiting for movement, committing to targets, killing. And nobody was making the snipers waste shots on nothing. Carter had been thinking about this for 4 days. What if Marines stopped being the targets? What if they created false targets, made snipers fire at decoys instead of real men, forced the Japanese to burn ammunition on empty helmets while Marines located their muzzle flashes? He mentioned it to his squad leader that morning. Corporal Anthony Russo was from Brooklyn, in combat since Guadalcanal. Lost 9 men to snipers at Tarawa already. When Carter explained the decoy idea, Russo stared at him for 10 seconds. "Show me." The Japanese sniper problem at Tarawa was unlike anything American forces encountered before. These weren't opportunistic shooters. These were trained specialists, elite marksmen who'd spent years perfecting their craft. The Imperial Japanese Army established specialized sniper schools in 1936. Candidates trained for 18 months before deployment. They learned camouflage, fieldcraft, range estimation, advanced marksmanship. The best could hit man-sized targets at 600 yards with iron sights. By 1943, Japan deployed approximately 1,300 trained snipers across the Pacific Theater. 850 concentrated on Tarawa. They'd been preparing defensive positions since July, 4 months to dig in, select firing positions, calculate ranges, plan escape routes. When the 2nd Marine Division landed November 20th, they walked into a killing field designed by experts. Snipers used a tactic called one-shot relocate. Fire once from a position, immediately move to a pre-selected secondary position 30 to 50 yards away. Wait. If Marines came looking for the original position, shoot them from the new one. If not, wait for another target and repeat. American counter-sniper doctrine: locate the shooter, suppress with overwhelming firepower, advance and clear. But that required actually locating the shooter. Japanese snipers had mastered invisibility. They fired from positions Marines couldn't see, inside palm fronds 40 feet up, through firing ports in concrete bunkers, from spider holes covered with sand and vegetation. Marine scout snipers tried countering them. The 2nd Division had 14 trained counter-snipers. Good men, expert riflemen. But 14 Marines couldn't cover an entire island. The Japanese had 850 snipers. The mathematics didn't work. By November 23rd, 5th day of combat, Marine casualties from sniper fire reached 103 men. Most killed. Japanese snipers aimed for head or chest. They didn't wound. They eliminated. Carter watched this happening, watched Marines expose themselves moving between positions, watched muzzle flashes from invisible locations, watched good men die from single rifle shots they never saw coming. His squad had lost 3 men to snipers, all experienced riflemen, all careful, all dead. Private First Class Joseph Romano was first. November 19th, during initial landing. Mechanic from Chicago before the war. Smart, careful. He'd advanced from beach to a shell crater, looked over the rim to scout the next position. Single rifle shot through his helmet. Dead before he hit the ground. Lance Corporal William Hayes was second. Survived Guadalcanal. Knew how to move in combat, kept his head down. November 21st, crossing between foxholes. Moved fast, stayed low. Sniper got him anyway. 1 round through upper chest. Hayes died 30 seconds later. Corporal Frank Martinez was third. Squad leader, 11 years in the Corps. Directing fire from behind a disabled Amtrak when a sniper shot him through the neck. Bullet came from a palm tree 220 yards away. Nobody saw the muzzle flash. Nobody found the sniper. Carter had known all 3 men. Trained with Romano at Camp Pendleton, shared transport with Hayes crossing the Pacific, took orders from Martinez for 5 months. Now all 3 were dead, shot by enemies they never saw. Morning of November 23rd, Carter was in a foxhole with Corporal Russo and 2 other Marines, Private Robert Thompson from Texas, Private First Class James Sullivan from Georgia. All 4 had seen too many friends die. All 4 were desperate for something different. Carter told them about the crows, the decoy system, making targets that weren't real. Russo asked how that'd work against snipers. Carter explained, "Take a helmet, mount it on a stick, slowly raise it above cover like a Marine looking over a berm. Sniper sees movement and helmet-shaped silhouette. He shoots, misses, realizes he wasted a round. More importantly, when he shoots, there's a muzzle flash. That flash reveals his position." Thompson asked what good that did if the sniper just moved after shooting. "He'll move, but can't move far. These aren't random shooters. They're specialists with prepared positions, primary, secondary, maybe tertiary fallback positions, all within limited area. Make the sniper fire 3 or 4 times at decoys and you triangulate his operating zone. Then saturate that zone with suppressive fire or call in artillery. Sullivan asked if Carter had proof this would work. Killed 310 crows with it. Snipers are just crows with rifles. Rousseau looked at Carter for a long moment, then grabbed his helmet and bayonet. Show me how it works. Carter took the helmet and bayonet, jammed the bayonet through the helmet's crown. Now he had a helmet mounted on a 14-inch steel rod, crude puppet. He crouched below the foxhole rim and slowly raised the helmet above the edge. From 50 yards, it'd look like a Marine's head appearing over cover. Rousseau, Thompson, Sullivan watched. Nothing happened for 15 seconds. Then a rifle shot cracked across the battlefield. Bullet hit the helmet with a metallic ping, knocked it sideways. Bayonet bent, but held. All 4 Marines hit the dirt, hearts pounding. But Carter was grinning. Did anyone see the muzzle flash? Thompson. Palm tree, about 90 yards northwest, maybe 30 feet up. Carter pulled the helmet down. Clean bullet hole through the front, right where a Marine's forehead would have been. If that had been a real head, someone would be dead. But it wasn't. It was a decoy. And now they knew where the sniper was. Rousseau grabbed a bar from the foxhole, Browning automatic rifle, 20 rounds of .30-06 ammunition. Aimed at the palm tree Thompson indicated, fired a full magazine into the fronds. They heard something heavy fall, hitting branches, thudding into ground. Thompson and Sullivan advanced carefully, found a Japanese sniper at the tree's base. Dead. Single bar round through the chest. His Arisaka rifle lay next to him. 7 rounds left in the magazine. Rousseau returned to the foxhole, looked at Carter. How many more helmets can you rig up? As many as we have bayonets and spare helmets. Start making them. We're going to kill every sniper on this island using farm tricks. By noon, November 23rd, Carter had rigged 10 helmet decoys, each one, helmet mounted on bayonet, wooden stick, or entrenching tool handle. Simple, crude, effective. Rousseau organized systematic approach. Squad would work in pairs. 1 Marine operates decoy, other watches for muzzle flashes with binoculars. When sniper fired, mark position. Then engage with rifles or call support from BR gunner or mortar team. First sniper after the palm tree kill. 14-15 hours. Carter raised helmet decoy near destroyed bunker. Sniper fired from 130 yards. Missed helmet by 6 inches. Thompson spotted flash from spider hole near disabled Japanese tank. Sullivan put 4 rounds from his M1 Garand into that hole. Sniper didn't fire again. When checked later, sniper dead inside hole. 2 hits, shoulder and head. Second sniper was trickier. Carter raised decoy 3 times. No response. Sniper was patient, waiting for real target. Carter tried something different. Attached torn uniform piece to helmet, creating illusion of body below. Made it look more realistic. Raised it slower, like a Marine carefully exposing himself. Sniper fired. Hit helmet dead center. Sullivan saw muzzle flash from concrete pillbox 95 yards east. Rousseau called for flamethrower team. They advanced under covering fire, burned out the pillbox. Sniper died inside. By 1700 hours, Carter's squad eliminated 8 Japanese snipers using decoy helmets. 8 confirmed kills, 0 American casualties. Word spread through 2nd Battalion faster than official radio traffic. Other squads heard about the helmet trick. Marines started improvising their own decoys, helmets on sticks, crude mannequins from sandbags and uniforms. 1 corporal created dummy head from mud and rags, positioned to look like a Marine sleeping in foxhole. Japanese snipers couldn't tell the difference. From 100 yards, helmet on stick looked exactly like a Marine's head. They fired, missed, revealed positions, died. Psychological impact was immediate. Japanese snipers were trained to be patient, wait for perfect shots, never waste ammunition. But when they saw what looked like easy targets, training told them to take the shot. Once they fired, Marines knew where they were. Some snipers learned, held fire when they saw helmets appearing over berms. But that created new problems. They couldn't distinguish between decoys and real Marines, so they hesitated. Hesitation meant losing opportunities to engage actual targets. Either way, Americans gained advantage. By November 24th, sixth day of combat, Marine casualties from sniper fire dropped to 22, down from 52 the previous day. Helmet decoys were working, but the Japanese adapted. Commanders ordered snipers to stop firing at single exposed targets, only engage groups of Marines or targets clearly moving and talking, ignore static helmets, assume they're decoys. That adaptation had a cost. Snipers became less effective, passed up shots they would have taken before. Marines moved more freely because snipers second-guessed themselves, and some snipers couldn't resist. When they saw what looked like perfect targets, training and instinct took over. They fired and died. Most dramatic example, November 25th. A Japanese sniper in the island's central command bunker had killed 13 Marines over 5 days. Sniper was in reinforced concrete structure with multiple firing ports. Americans couldn't locate which port he used. Every time they suppressed one, he'd move to another and keep shooting. Staff Sergeant Richard Bennett decided to solve it with decoys. Bennett commanded a 14-man squad from Pennsylvania. Lost 5 men to that bunker sniper. He was done being patient. Bennett had his men construct 7 helmet decoys, position them at different locations around the bunker. His plan: raise all 7 simultaneously from different angles. Force the sniper to choose one target. When he fired, the other 6 positions would triangulate the muzzle flash. At 10:35 hours, all 7 decoys went up. Sniper fired, hit one decoy through the helmet. Muzzle flash came from bunker's northwest firing port. Bennett's squad converged fire on that port. 35 rounds rifle ammunition, 2 bar bursts, 1 satchel charge thrown through the opening. Sniper never fired again. When Marines cleared the bunker later, they found him dead from satchel charge explosion. His Arisaka rifle was still in position, aimed through firing port when the charge detonated. Bennett's 7 decoy tactic became standard procedure. Squads across 2nd Division started using multiple decoys to triangulate sniper positions. Japanese couldn't counter it. If they didn't shoot, Marines advanced freely. If they did shoot, they revealed positions and died. By November 26th, American forces eliminated an estimated 370 Japanese snipers on Tarawa, most killed using helmet decoys or variations. Decoys forced snipers to fire at false targets, waste ammunition, expose themselves. Marine casualties from sniper fire dropped to single digits per day, but Carter's contribution never received official recognition. No medal, no commendation, no mention in after-action reports. Marine Corps credited improved small unit tactics, helmet decoy technique attributed to field innovations developed by multiple units independently. Carter's name appeared in his battalion's casualty log, wounded November 27th. Shrapnel from Japanese artillery shell, non-life-threatening wounds to left leg and shoulder. Evacuated to hospital ship, then Pearl Harbor for treatment. He never knew how many Marines survived because of his farm trick. Never knew helmet decoy technique spread beyond Tarawa to other Pacific campaigns, that Marines at Saipan, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa used the same principle. The technique evolved. By 1944, some units used sophisticated decoys, full mannequins with realistic heads made from plaster or papier-mâché, remote-controlled movement systems using wire pulleys. One engineer battalion on Okinawa created decoys that could breathe using hand-pumped bellows. But the principle remained: make the enemy waste ammunition shooting at nothing while you locate and eliminate them. Exactly what Carter had done with crows on his father's wheat farm. After the war, Marine Corps conducted studies on sniper tactics in the Pacific. They analyzed casualty data, interviewed veterans, compiled after-action reports. Studies confirmed what Carter discovered in combat. Decoys were among the most effective counter-sniper techniques. Units employing decoys systematically had 69% fewer casualties from sniper fire. Marine Corps integrated decoy tactics into post-war training doctrine. Every infantry squad learned to construct and deploy helmet decoys. Technique became standard operating procedure. But studies never mentioned Daniel Carter. Official documentation credited technique to field innovations developed during the Tarawa campaign. No individual Marine identified as originator. Carter returned to Kansas in 1946, spent 24 months in Pacific, fought at Tarawa, Saipan, and Tinian. Wounded twice, awarded Purple Heart both times. No other decorations. He went back to the wheat farm, worked alongside his father, married his high school sweetheart Linda in 1948, had 3 children, lived quietly. When asked about the war, he said he'd been an infantryman, fought the Japanese. That's all. Never mentioned helmet decoys, never talked about snipers or Marines who died before he figured out the farm trick. His children didn't know their father saved lives until 1990. A military historian researching Marine Corps counter-sniper tactics at Tarawa found references to helmet decoys in battalion reports from November 1943. One report mentioned Private First Class Daniel Carter by name as having demonstrated effective use of improvised target decoys to locate and eliminate enemy snipers. Historian tracked Carter down through veteran registries. Carter was 69, still working the farm, still shooting crows during harvest season. Historian asked about the decoys. Carter confirmed the story, said it wasn't anything special, just applied what his father taught him about dealing with crows. Same principle worked on snipers. Historian calculated impact based on casualty reduction rates. After November 23rd, helmet decoy technique probably saved between 130 and 190 American lives at Tarawa alone. Counting technique spread to other campaigns, the number could reach 650 Marines saved across Pacific Theater. Carter said he'd never counted, just remembered men in his squad who survived: Russo, Thompson, Sullivan, others who tested decoys and lived through Tarawa. Staff Sergeant Richard Bennett retired from Marine Corps in 1967. Career NCO, served in Korea, trained recruits at Paris Island. In his retirement speech, Bennett mentioned Tarawa, mentioned the bunker sniper who'd killed 13 Marines, mentioned how a farm kid from Kansas taught him to use helmet decoys. Bennett tracked Carter down in 1974, drove to Kansas, knocked on his door. Introduced himself as the sergeant who'd used 7 decoys to kill the bunker sniper. Bennett said he'd taught the decoy technique to every recruit he trained for 20 years. Thousands of Marines learned it. Many used it in combat. Some survived because of it. Bennett said Carter deserved the Navy Cross for that innovation. Carter disagreed, said he'd just been trying to keep his squad alive. Any farm kid who'd hunted crows would have done the same thing. Helmet decoy technique remained in use through Vietnam. Marine reconnaissance teams used variations to locate Viet Cong snipers in jungle terrain. Decoys evolved. Some units used inflatable mannequins, others thermal decoys emitting heat signatures to fool enemy infrared optics. By the 1980s, technique became obsolete. Modern warfare shifted to longer engagement ranges, thermal imaging, precision-guided weapons. Counter-sniper doctrine focused on electronic detection rather than physical decoys. But the principle survived in training. Every Marine infantry officer learns about decoy tactics at basic school. Helmet trick is taught as example of battlefield innovation under pressure. Simple solution, immediate implementation, lives saved. Training materials don't mention Daniel Carter. They credit technique to unnamed Marines at Tarawa. Carter died June 15, 1996. 75 years old. Complications from diabetes. His funeral in Dodge City, Kansas, drew maybe 45 people. Family, a few friends, 4 veterans he'd served with. His obituary in the local newspaper mentioned service in World War II. Marine Corps, Pacific Theater, Purple Heart recipient, veteran. Did not mention he'd saved approximately 143 Marines with a helmet on a stick. Did not mention he'd changed counter-sniper doctrine. Did not mention thousands of Marines learned his technique. 5 men Carter didn't know attended the funeral. They introduced themselves after the service. Former Marines, all served in different wars. All trained in helmet decoy tactics. All survived combat situations because they knew how to make snipers waste ammunition on false targets. They tracked Carter down through veteran networks, wanted his family to know what he'd done, wanted them to understand their father had been more than an infantryman. Carter's children learned the full story that day, learned about the Crows, the wheat farm, the Tarawa snipers, the simple trick that saved lives. Today, Carter's story exists in fragments. Battalion reports in National Archives, interview transcripts from military historians, a paragraph in a study about counter-sniper tactics. The Marine Corps Museum at Quantico has a display about Tarawa, shows a helmet mounted on a bayonet behind glass. Placard says, "Improvised decoy used by Marines to locate Japanese sniper positions, November 1943." Does not mention Daniel Carter. But if you dig through archived training films from the 1950s, you can find footage of Marines practicing decoy deployment. Narrator explains, "Mount helmet on stick, raise it above cover, watch for muzzle flashes, engage the sniper." Narrator doesn't explain where the technique came from, doesn't mention it violated no military manual because it wasn't in any manual. Doesn't mention it started with a farm kid who'd learned to outwit crows. That's how innovation actually happens in war. Not through doctrine committees or research programs. Through Marines who see problems and solve them. Who ignore manuals when manuals get people killed. Who trust what worked on the farm more than what's written in regulations. Carter hunted crows for 42 years after the war. Never missed a harvest season. Applied the same decoy principle every August when crows came. His wheat yields averaged 95%, best in the county. He applied that same principle to Japanese snipers and didn't miss them either. His technique saved 143 American Marines, made Japanese snipers burn through ammunition 3 times faster, changed how the United States Marine Corps fought. Now you know his name.